Good day, guys. We want to see how to do first principles for mathematics level 4. That is to say, we need to determine the first derivative from first principles in the following situations. So we've got two main functions. These are the two main types of functions that the examiners for mathematics level 4 will always target, because the other easier ones, like the quadratic functions, the linear functions, were done in level 3. So as a level 4 student, we expect you to know how to do first principles for a cubic function, and for a fraction, this one is actually a hyperbola. So let's go. When we start our first principles, the very first thing we do is to copy down the formula. The formula for first principles is on the formula sheet as formula number 4 for mathematics level 4 students. So the formula for first principles, see, I'm taking it down. It reminds us that we are supposed to be calculating the limit of f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h. So this is the calculation that once you can go through that, then you say you've done first principles. So you have to now substitute into this formula and calculate your limit for your first principle to be done. So if we start, you see that f of x corresponds to the original function. So our original function is f of x, which is 6 over x. That's our original function, which has to go there. Then our f of x plus h simply means you get into your f of x. Everywhere you find x, you will put in x plus h. So I will have my x plus h, meaning if I go to the right side of f of x, I'll be having 6 on x plus h. So this is now my f of x plus h. So looking at our formula, it therefore means at the numerator, I've now seen what I can put here and here. So I need to go on now and do the subtraction part. And once I get my answer, then I bring it into the formula. So this is what the subtraction part requires from us. I'm supposed to take f of x plus h minus f of x. That means I'm taking this fraction minus the other. So my first fraction is 6 on x plus h minus 6 on x. So whenever we are subtracting or adding two fractions, there is something called an LCD. So the LCD simply means you multiply the two items at the denominator of your two fractions. So if I multiply them, I'll get x plus h into x. So that's my LCD. So when I go to the numerator, the first thing I will do is to bring down the subtraction sign. So how do we now apply the LCD? So the idea is that you take the LCD, you divide by the first denominator. You see the first denominator corresponds to this, x plus h. So if I use my LCD and divide here, x plus h will cancel itself. I'm only left with x that multiplies 6 to give me 6x. So you see I've drawn my subtraction sign already. Then I take my LCD again, I divide by x. So the LCD contains the x, which will cancel itself. Then I'm left with x plus h times 6, which gives me 6 into x plus h. So another sharp way that learners can also pick this out is to say, once you've got your LCD, by just multiplying the two numbers at the denominator, then when you go to the numerator, you drop the sign that is there, then you just cross multiply the numerator starting from left to right. If I cross multiply, you see that takes 6 times x, I put it there, then 6 times x plus h, I put it there. If I don't want to follow the mathematics behind what the LCD is doing. So that is our subtraction, our simplification with the help of the LCD. So I will then move on and simplify the numerator. So if I move on to simplify the numerator, I will say my f of x plus h minus f of x is equal to, at the numerator, I will be having my 6x minus, you see this negative has to get in there, minus another 6x minus 6h. Then my LCD, it's advisable to keep it exactly the way it is. So now at the numerator, 6x will take care of itself. So that subtraction of the numerator leaves us with negative 6h, because 6x takes care of itself, you're left with negative 6h on x plus h into x. So that's basically what we are left with at the numerator. So that's what we're left with as far as the subtraction is concerned, and that corresponds to the numerator of our formula for first principles. So you cannot finish first principles without reminding yourself of the fact that you are calculating a limit. So we will go back to our formula. So that's the reason why we started by copying the formula. So we now take the limit as h tends to 0. Then in the place of the numerator, we are capturing the whole of that, which is negative 6h on x plus h into x. Then we are supposed to divide by h. So to make life easy for you, this division sign, I always advise students to change it to this one. So if you put it like that, you will not have to join too many lines that can end up making you confused. So from here, I can now change this division into multiplication and input. So if I move on with that, I will get the limit as h tends to 0 of negative 6h on x plus h, all this into x, then I multiply by 1 over h. So in so doing, you see that the h, the original h in the formula, the h that was the denominator in the formula, will now cancel, take care of it. So once that h that is the denominator in the formula goes away, then I have to stop writing limit. If I stop writing limit, then anything that is left there, I copy it down, numerator, we only be left with negative 6. Negative 6 times 1 is negative 6, divided by x. If there is any other h left, we replace it by 0. That's the meaning of limit as h tends to 0. And this is simplified to negative 6 on x squared. So as a level 4 student, this is one function you must know how to differentiate from first principles, because that is part of the scope. You know how to differentiate a hyperbola, or let's call it a fraction. Your variable at the denominator from first principles following the steps that I have shown you. So the key thing is knowing how to play around the function. So that is it for the first one. Then the second one is another key problem that a level 4 student must know how to do. So how do we handle a fraction, a cubic function? So the only difference is that maybe this can be positive or negative, just like there, it could also be positive or negative. So my starting point will be the same. I copy my formula from my formula sheet. This is given on the math level 4 formula sheet. So I just copy it down to be on the safe side. So if I copy down this formula, it reminds me that I need to calculate f of x, then f of x plus h, or do the subtraction before I go to the formula. So f of x corresponds to the problem all the time. Even if they choose to call it y, then it's the same thing as f of x, which is negative 6x cubed. Then looking at that, you can generate f of x plus h by going to f of x. Anywhere there is x, I will put in my x plus h. So I get my x plus h, or that cube, which now will show to me that I need to do the subtraction. But looking at it, you see this one needs some little bit of work. So to simplify this, you need to expand that a bit. So the way I always expand this is by taking it step by step. I'll write x plus h to the power 3 as x plus h to the power 2 first. When I get that answer, then I multiply by that. It's just like saying a cube is equal to a squared times a. Then I will take my time and expand this. And I've shown my level 4 students before how fast you can do this expansion without writing too much. So if you are doing this expansion, you can just take x, you square it, it gives you x squared. You take h, you square it, it will give you h squared. Then in the middle, you take 2 times x times h. So as long as the power there is 2, this will always work out for you. So that is what I do. That's the fastest way of doing it, rather than maybe wasting time saying x plus h into x plus h, that is also okay. There's no trouble with that. You expand there, you get your x squared, you get your xh, you get another xh, then the last part will give you your h squared. Then you see that these two are like terms, which will take you to x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. So if that's what you're comfortable with, it's not a problem. But one thing you must know is that there's a fast way of doing this thing. By just taking the first term, you square it, you get that. You take your h, you square it, you get that. Then in the middle, sorry, I left out h, you just take 2 times x times h. That is what goes in the middle. So this will always work out as long as the power is 2 and you've got 2 items there. It doesn't matter which kind of functions you have, it will always work out. So from here, I now take our time to do our expansion again. Unfortunately, to move from here forward, we must do it the normal way, what we call the FOIL method. So you take your x squared, you multiply x, which will give you x cubed. X squared times h is x squared h. Then you take now your 2x times h, you get times x, you get 2x squared h. Then 2x times h will give you 2xh squared. Then you go to h squared times x, you get x h squared. Then h squared times h is h cubed. Then in here you realize that there are some like terms. We've got here these two are like terms because I've got x squared h, both of them. Then these two are also like terms. So if I pull my like terms together, I'll be having negative 6 into x cubed plus 3x squared h plus 3x h squared plus h cubed. So I pull the like terms together. Then I can now open my bracket and multiply everyone by negative 6. That will give me negative 6x cubed minus 18x squared h minus 18 again xh squared minus 6h cubed. So up to so far, we can say we have succeeded to calculate f of x plus h, which is supposed to go into this position. We also know f of x, which is the original problem, so we need to do the subtraction. So if we therefore do the subtraction, f of x plus h minus f of x will remain. I'm going to copy down all of this, which is negative 6x cubed minus 18x squared h minus 18x h squared minus 6h cubed. So I've just copied f of x plus h, which I've just finished calculating. Then I have to now subtract from it. Don't forget there is a subtraction sign there. As you see in the formula, I have to subtract f of x. F of x itself has got a negative sign. Then there's another negative sign coming from the formula. So when the two combine, they then give us a positive sign. So we get f of we get plus 6x cubed, where the 6x cubed will eliminate the negative 6x cubed. Then we are left with negative 18x squared h minus 18x h squared minus 6h cubed. So it's now time for us to transfer this into our formula. So you see that it's always important to copy down your formula so that when you succeed to calculate that numerator, you then transfer it into the formula and do a limit. So we're going to now go through that procedure and do a proper limit. So we make the first derivative, which is the limit as h tends to 0. The numerator, we've taken our time to do that calculation, and we ended with negative 18x squared, negative 18x squared h minus 18x h squared minus h minus 6 not h minus 6h cubed, then over h. So this is the limit we are calculating. And for you to start substituting h, replacing h by 0, make sure that you have eliminated the h at the denominator in the formula, in the original formula. So the way you do it is that in this particular case of cubic, it also works for quadratics or linear. You have to take out h as a common factor from the numerator. So if you take out h as a common factor from the denominator, we'll get h into negative 18 18x squared. So that h is out, then minus 18xh was h squared. So if 1 goes up, we're left with h, then minus 6h squared. We say it's a cube. If 1 goes up, we're left with a square, then we divide by h. This will now permit the h in the formula at the denominator to go away. Once this h at the denominator in the original formula goes away, or it's taken care of, we are now free to stop writing limit. We just copy what is left. If there is still h in your answer, you are now free to replace it by 7. So I'll get negative 18x squared minus 18x into 0. I'm now replacing this h by 0, then minus 6 into 0 squared. So this should simplify to negative 18x squared. So guys, as a level 4 student, this is how you have to do your first principles. And I've targeted the two main kind of problems that reserved for level 4 students. You can also do this for a quadratic function, like maybe if you've got a function like 1 over 3 f of x being equal to 3 minus 5x squared, you follow the same procedure, which will be short, and you follow the same technique like for the cubic function. So I'm not bothering about this because that is level 2 work, level 3 work, sorry. But as a level 4 student, these are the two that you must target and make sure that you get them right. So thank you very much.